to any point in time, where would you go? And what would you do?
In the past or future?
It's time travel, dog. Forward or back.
There's no rules.
I'd time travel back to like caveman and stuff like that and just show my highlights.
I thought you were.
See how they
I thought you said the other day you wanted to go back to the dinosaurs and like wrestle a pterodactyl or something.
How would you wrestle a pterodactyl? How the hell would you catch a pterodactyl?
First of all,
you're not.
I can wrestle a pterodactyl. I'll find a way.
No, you're not gonna wrestle a pterodactyl.
You get some treats.
I'll tell you what I would do. I would just pull a Biff from Back to the Future. I would go back. I'd write down a list of all the scores of the major games, and I'd go back 5 years and just bet the house on all of them. That's what I do.
We should go back.
But the real question is, would you ever know if somebody did travel through time? Would you ever know?
Unless they came.
How much proof would you need? Well, yeah.
Like if your future self went back to your younger self.
Well, if yourself showed up, I'm not talking about the Atom Project. I'm not saying you meet yourself. I'm talking about somebody else.
Is that
randomly?
good?
How would you ever know?
Is that good?
It's really good.
Is Ryan Reynolds in it?
Yeah.
Then yes.
Fair enough. Touche on that.
Yeah. The NFL draft is finally upon us, and we're going to break it down in full. There are 3 Game 6s to review in the NBA playoffs tonight, and of course, we'll hear from the Booster Club, the greatest grassroots movement since the French Renaissance. I'm Jake Crane, and welcome to your new favorite show. It's Crane & Company. With the 2022 NFL Draft kicking off tonight in Las Vegas, every NFL team and fan feel like they can cement their future and turn a broken franchise into a well-oiled machine overnight by adding the best prospects to their respective teams. And while drafting smart and efficiently is obviously a lifeblood to any organization, relying on a rookie to save your franchise year one is most likely a losing bet, regardless of what position they play. Very rarely do we see guys be able to come right into the league year one, not Joe Burrow, and put a team on their back and lead them to the promised land. It just isn't how football in the NFL works. There's a much better chance of improving the short-term outlook through free agency by adding players who have experience and understand how the league works, along with the speed of the game, which you can compare to Superman's flight or one of Elon Musk's bullet trains, to be honest with you. Expectations for rookies should be very tempered, and from a fan perspective, you should hope they underpromise and overdeliver. Just remember, these guys need time. But the most interesting part of the draft for me won't even happen tonight. The later rounds are where you really see the scouting come into play. Even in a draft as convoluted as this one, with no consensus top pick, it's much easier to spot the talent at the top of the board than in the middle and the bottom. We've seen a ton of examples of guys going late having huge impacts. Does his name Tom Brady ring a bell? And there will be many overlooked players in this draft that end up making big impacts and having long careers. Shout out Nakobe Dean. So don't get up in arms tonight if your team doesn't pick who you wanted, because we have a long way to go. Oh, and please boo Roger Goodell, because that guy makes Simple Jack look like Ken Jennings. And on that note, I'm going to bring in David Cohn, Blaine Crane as well. Guys, it's almost like recruiting in college football a little bit. It's not hard to spot the 5 stars. Now, does every 5-star work out? No. Does every talented prospect that goes high in the draft work out? Hell no. But it is such an art to be able to find diamonds in the rough or find guys that may be in the middle of the pack or later in the draft, and those guys end up being stars for you that you have to pay off on the back end, not the front end. That's what I find the most interesting. But what's one storyline you're looking at just off the top tonight, Cone, in the first round?
Well, off the top, I mean, look, those top 2 picks, like we've been talking about, I think that the Jacksonville could get a winner with either Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson. But I think it'd be cool if the Lions get Hutch at 2 and keep the Michigan kid home. That's something that I'm looking forward to. And then, look, 2 Buckeye receivers. I think both of them could be elite for a long, long time. It sounds like Garrett Wilson will go first, but I can't sing high enough praises for Chris Olave.
Well, you've been talking. You like Olave better than Wilson. You've liked him better the whole time. I think he's more of a complete receiver.
I do. I've watched him do it for season after season after season. But look, I think Garrett Wilson will go before him. Vegas is usually not wrong on these things. But just there's so many kids who are about to get their childhood dreams, fulfilled tonight. It's awesome to watch.
Definitely. Blaine, what about you? What's the beard telling you?
What's the beard telling me? What was the question?
Well, what's your one storyline round 1?
Who reaches on Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
I'm telling you who I'm
hearing. Who's going to do it? Who's going to
hearing.
reach on Kenny Pickett? Because someone's going to. What team? Because there's always that one team.
Is it going to be the Saints?
Who's just going to be like, you know what? let's go outside the box here. Let's do what no one thinks we're gonna do, and then they reach.
Try and pull a Kevin Costner
Right?
from
And
draft
then
day.
they reach. You know, they got the sticky note, right?
Vontae Mack, no matter what.
That's a sticky note, but who's gonna reach, right? Because I think someone's gonna reach on one of these quarterbacks, and I'm just waiting to see who it is.
Let me ask you this. So if the Steelers take Kenny Pickett at 20, is that reaching? Because that's where their pick is. Or did they are you talking about someone will go up to get Kenny Pickett?
I'm saying top 10.
Top 10. So you think Kenny Pickett's a
10.
first round? You think he's legit first round?
No, I'm saying I don't think he's a top 10 pick, but I'm saying if a team like the Panthers,
But I'm not talking about the top 10 pick. I'm talking about if someone
a
gets
late first round, I think he could be.
So that wouldn't be a
20
reach.
pass.
The only reason I ask
20
about
pass.
the Steelers is because remember the Steelers passed on a former pick quarterback one time in Danny Marino.
That's true.
They were upset about it. For a long, long time, they had to watch him ball out with the Dolphins.
Not win a championship, though.
Not win a championship. That is true. Went to one Super Bowl, didn't win it. I'm just saying, do you think the Steelers, after Big Ben is retired, maybe take the Pitt kid at 20? That's something that I'm eyeing today. And I don't think that would be reaching. I don't know.
I mean, he played at Pitt. I mean, I get it. And I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to be a bad player. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust or he's going to be terrible. But I don't think he is a guy that is going to be a franchise quarterback that you feel good about taking you far in the playoffs. I'm telling you that the story timeline I'm watching, whatever you want to call it, from round one, is how many Georgia players go off the board. Because this gonna look
a lot.
This gonna look like a Georgia awards banquet.
Will they break the record?
No,
Alabama and Miami are tied at 6 first-round picks.
That is so many first-round picks. If you just, and again, I'm not a mathematician, but there's 32 teams. You had 6 go from one school. 6. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I don't know. I don't know if that'll ever be broken. I think Georgia, it's going to be a great night for Georgia. It's a great selling point for recruiting. I'm just interested to see how many Georgia guys go in the first, and then overall in the SEC in these early rounds, how many guys go, because the SEC has absolutely dominated the draft. I mean, Joey Chestnut with the hot dog dominated.
Let's stay on the quarterbacks for a second. How high would Malik Willis have to go before you say someone reached on him?
I would almost put it in the same Kenny Pickett range. If he goes top 10,
Really?
if he goes top 10, I think that'd be a reach. I think Malik Willis is the best quarterback in this draft. Does that mean I think he's going to be an elite quarterback? Does it mean I think he's going to be Russell Wilson? No, I think he still has to get better at reading defenses. You look at the offense they ran at Liberty with Hugh Freeze, a lot of RPO stuff built in, single read stuff. It's a much different league. It's a much different world when you're looking at how defenses disguise coverage. Because in the NFL, there's no going to class. It's all ball. So you've got all day from a defensive standpoint to not only work on what you want to disguise, but how you're going to disguise it. I mean, we've done interviews with guys talking about Peyton Manning. You take one step the wrong way, he knows not only where you're going, but why you're going there, and he's going to embarrass you in front of everybody. So Malik's got a long way to go there. I think if anybody, I would almost say top 15 feels like a reach to me.
I would agree. I think anything past 15 with Malik, it's okay.
Okay.
I think that's realistic. I don't think there's not a quarterback in this draft that's a top 15.
I mean, you know
When
what?
was the last time that's happened?
I know. That's what makes this draft
Top
awesome, though.
15?
Adam Schefter had a tweet today saying he's talked to multiple GMs, and we know he's got a lot of connections, like Connect 4 over there. They think this is going to be the craziest draft in the last 30 years.
It is shaping up that way.
I'm wondering how much movement, too, we're going to get from a trade-up standpoint. We did our mocks. I didn't have any trade-ups in the top 10.
I didn't either, but I think something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen. It's a smorgasbord of what could happen.
The Jets and Giants both with 2 top 10 picks, and I don't necessarily even think that one of them will trade out, but I do think there will be some movement in the top 10. One last question on quarterbacks before we move on. Do you think there is a quarterback in this draft who could be a starter on an NFL team 10 seasons from now?
Matt Corral.
You think so?
I'm on the train. I'm on the train. I'm not on the Desmond Ridder train.
Okay.
I don't think he's accurate enough. I'm not on the Carson Strong train. I don't think he's a good enough player. I think Kenny Pickett will be a good player. I think Malik Willis will be a good player. I think we will look back 5-7 years from now and say Matt Corral was the best quarterback in this draft.
I hope so.
Now, he's got to play differently than he did in college, but that's how it works. He knows in the NFL you're not going to be running over linebackers. I mean, even guys like Josh Allen, who are big and strong, slide. It's about longevity. So he's got to try and mix up his game a little bit. And, we had Trey Wingo on here, and me and Trey disagreed about the deep ball and kind of comparing Matt Corral to Zach Wilson and how they operate. I think there's a lot of similarities. You look at the way they're able to throw from different arm slots, the way the ball gets out. Their motion's somewhat similar, the way they throw it. I think Matt's fine with the deep ball.
I hope you're right, because whoever drafts Matt Corral is going to be my new favorite NFL team. There is a difference between knowing you have to change your game and being able to do it, because so much of what made him an asset at Ole Miss was his gutsiness on the move.
Yeah, well,
You can't do that.
you can be effective running to a certain extent. You've got to know when to say when. There's a huge difference when you're out there doing it against FAU. Now, when you're playing Bama and places like that, you're going to see those guys in the NFL. But it's a lot different when you're playing some of the teams in college that Matt Corral played, as opposed to, all right, well, this week we got the Steelers.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? Lower your head? Oh, wow, there's TJ Watt coming off the edge. Hold on the zone read. I'm going to keep it and run over him for the first down on 4th and 1. Let me tell you a story about the time you went Mr. Potato Head and they picked up all your limbs off the field.
Give me Bailey Zapp from Western Kentucky.
10 years from
The
now,
genius?
starting?
Give me 10 years. I mean, the kick.
Zapdos?
He's got an absolute rocket.
You break Joe
attached.
Burrow's record, you're doing something.
I mean, an absolute rocket. And I know he played in Western Kentucky and didn't play against the best athletes from week to week. But you watch this kid, you can get a somewhat of a standpoint watching a quarterback from his feet to his arms to his eyes of where he can really fall. And 10 seasons from now, I believe what you said.
10 seasons.
I feel like Bailey's. And the Western Kentucky, the system they run, wasn't super easy. The system.
Yeah, well, he scored the highest on the Wonderlic, I think, as
I'm
well.
telling you,
Which,
if anybody.
Yeah, which
you get to a certain,
you know, I don't need you out there doing math problems. I need you to make a play on the corner.
I think if
Brad.
anybody, I'd go Bailey Zapp. You know what I'm saying? And the name just.
It's yeah,
I like that, but he won't go tonight.
Yeah, it's like on
He'll
the
go tonight.
Like on the Wonderlic. I don't need my quarterback to know if a train leaves Delaware at 12 p.m. what time is going to arrive in Austin.
But we would all get that.
I need you for sure. I need to know if you know how to read the split safeties up at the top and where they're going. That's what I need.
And more importantly, when you know, can you then execute
That's
off
exactly
of what
right.
you know?
It's not only enough to know.
Yeah, one half is a problem.
A lot of
The other
people
half is
know. I know where the three-point line is in the NBA, but me trying to get a shot off is a whole hell of a different thing.
I love that.
But
All right.
Blaine, what's that? Let's go to the Boost Club real quick. Blaine, anything in there?
All right, MacArthur Ryan 14765 says, gentlemen, will Debo Samuel be traded tonight?
I will say what KJ Wright came on this show and said, Debo is a no-go when it comes to going somewhere else. He is going to be with the 49ers. It's a smart business play. It's a smart business play. And I know, Cone, like old school, like, oh, well, you know, you're going into going to go into the 4th year of your rookie contract where when the iron's hot, you got to strike. And right now, the iron is hot for Debo Samuel. Deep down in places he doesn't want to talk about, and I don't know the man. I've never had a conversation with the man. Do I think he wants to leave San Fran? Maybe a little bit, but I don't think it's as hard-plated or as ironclad as people are saying. Debo just wants to get the hell out of there. He is using leverage. He's using leverage. It's smart. It's a smart business play. It's a 300 IQ play. I mean, we're seeing it a lot more in the NFL now. Okay, well, I want y'all to trade me. Oh, well, you're going to offer me even more than what I thought I could get? I guess I could stay. The question is San Fran going to play the game? And I'm looking at the numbers. And if you look at the numbers again, I think he was somewhere 65th to 70th overall in where he was catching the ball and then advancing, which de facto means he's one of the best, if not the best, wide receivers with the ball or just playmakers in general, catching it short and being able to hit the home run. And it's not like San Francisco is just has a plethora of talent at the skill position, and you want Trey Lance to be successful? If you want him to be the guy you think you can be, he's not going to be able to do it on his own, I promise you that. And having a guy like Debo Samuel is the ultimate security blanket. Oh, slant. Oh, drag. Oh, let's put him in the backfield and throw him the swing and go watch him run for 20 yards and add to the list.
He doesn't like that so much, though. He doesn't like the wide back.
Get him the ball. He'll like that. I've never heard an offensive player who said, don't get me the ball in
He
those
looks in the
ways.
quarterback situation. He's not a fan.
Yeah.
Well, does it say more about Trey Lance then? Do you think he looks at Trey Lance?
If I'm Debo, and I've really, because obviously Debo was the entire offense of the 49ers. That's what he was, especially with the injuries that they had. Greg Kittle was hurt most of the year. He looks at right now, I mean, Jimmy G or Trey Lance, that's not the guy I want back there. I want to go somewhere with a real deal quarterback, and I'm telling you, Packers, why not? Why not? Mm-hmm. Why not? You want to talk about Debo Samuel with Aaron Rodgers? Boys.
Well, what would you feel good with the Packers giving up tonight to get Debo Samuel?
Both first rounds.
Both? Both. Well, somebody will
You don't get a receiver,
Look,
maybe two.
San Fran, here's the thing. If you're San Fran and you make that trade and you're not bringing in somebody else off free agency to help them, you better strike gold or it's going to be ugly. I'm talking about, Uncle Fester in a bikini ugly. Like, ew, gross.
Ew.
That is ugly.
It's
you
gross.
give up both first rounders, and then you still have to pay him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel is what we like to call worth it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's leaving San Francisco, though.
I don't think he
Not
does
tonight,
either.
but that would create some fireworks. The one I do think that could happen, though, is Baker Mayfield. I think Seattle could make a move tonight.
You think they'd make a move?
I think it could happen tonight.
Well, we're going to do our mocks.
tonight.
I think it's interesting who we got the Seahawks.
Yeah,
taking,
and they have
'cause it's
9.
a little bit different. But speaking about individual teams, we had a great question about the Raiders the other day. You wanted to get
Oh, the Raiders. Well, look, there are 8 teams. I think there are 8 teams with multiple first-round picks and 8 teams that don't have a first-round pick. Now, the Raiders don't have a first or a second after the Devontae Adams move. So one of our Booster Club members was just wondering, like, what do the Raiders need to do to have a successful draft with no top 2-round picks?
Well, it kind of goes back to what I was saying off the top of the show. To me, that's where the money is it gets real weird. And that's where you find out who can really scout. That's where you find out who can really, really, really evaluate talent and be able to find guys in the middle and at the bottom of that draft. If you're the Raiders, you feel good about the house you've built.
Mm-hmm.
Got a nice house. You just signed Devontae Adams. You put a nice picket fence around the house. The yard looks good. Now, you just got to add some good furniture. Got to add some really clutch lawn chairs. Let's get some cornhole boards. Let's get a nice grill out there, maybe a smoker on the side. You're putting the finishing touches on the crib, a la David Cohn right now. You move in the new house,
Yes,
you want to
sir.
add your stuff in there.
We're going to see tonight.
The Raiders, again, are you going to go sign a guy that's going to, make 52 Pro Bowls or whatever, or come in and ball early? Most likely not. But you can supplement your roster. You can find guys, maybe take a risk on a guy at a certain spot. So while it does close off a little bit of the early pressure and the excitement for Raiders fans, and I get it. Everybody gets excited about the early picks in the draft because that's where typically the top guys go. I think Raiders fans should be double interested because now you're adding the stockings next to the Christmas tree. You're finding out, hey, where do you want to put the couch? Where do I want to put the coffee table? Oh, do we want to do something different with the flooring in the kitchen? I don't know. Maybe throw in some hardwood, rip out that carpet, and really play a game of let's not spill stuff. So I do think the Raiders, it's going to be very interesting later. I don't think they should just totally tune out early. See who's going in spots because somebody is going to fall. The question is, who is going to fall?
I think it's time to chisel in that defense, man. Get the silver and black defense of the Raiders back to the glory days, a la Big Ben Davidson, that whole crowd. That's what I think they need to do. Obviously, they've done a great job on the offensive side of the ball, maybe strengthen the O-line a little bit, but I expect good things to come for the Raiders.
I do too.
And I'm still not sold on Derek Carr. But
I'm not 100% sold on Derek Carr, and that AFC West is going to be just a knockdown, drag-out fist fight.
And they need someone on the opposite side of Crosby, I think.
Well, that's what we were talking. I believe we were talking about with KJ, going to get a guy on the other edge to take some pressure off. And here's the thing: this is a pretty good draft for edge players in the trenches, tackles and ends. Now, a lot of them are going to go early. You're going to see Thibodeau go. You're going to see Jermaine Johnson go. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson. Obviously, Trevon Walker. A couple guys I'm keeping my eye on. I mentioned it earlier. Where does Nakobe Dean go? Because this guy is going to be a steal if he falls. If he falls past second round, I'm just telling you.
Past second round?
Yeah. It's a steal. Nakobe Dean will be a steal for somebody. I've been saying it since last season. What did I say? He's my favorite player to watch.
He's so dynamic.
He was my favorite player to watch, and he's a leader. He's what you need at that
sat
position.
out the playoff game. That would have been better.
Yeah. Would have been better for your boys in blue. But also, speaking of the Packers, and I'm going to get back to the Boost Club in a second. You got the 2 picks in the first round.
Yep.
Got to go receiver with at least one of them.
Yep.
And it's got to be the first one. I don't see how Treylon Burks isn't playing in Green Bay after tonight. I just don't see it. Blaine?
Well, it depends on who's on the board. That's what it depends on. I just don't think. Yeah, let's think about it. So Olave probably won't be there.
Olave won't be there.
Garrett won't be there. J-Mo won't be there. Drake London probably won't be there. And to me, I think one of the guys with the highest ceiling in this draft for the receivers position is Treylon Burks.
I'd say him and Jahan Dotson.
They have 22 and 28.
Yeah.
You got to get him at 22.
I mean, you got to get at least a receiver at 22. I mean, at 28, you can always go. I mean, the defense for the Packers, you got Alexander at cornerback. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. But
you got to go get a receiver.
At 22, I'm talking about at 28.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking about. 28. And I think that has a lot to depend on who you really get at 22. And, God, if you don't get Treylon Burks, just don't draft Drake London.
You're not on the Drake.
If Treylon Burks is on that board, I'm telling you right now, and from years from now, you will look back on this, and if you didn't draft him, this will be one of the biggest mistakes you make. I'm telling you, I watched this guy at Arkansas, and he is the definition of a freak. If you find a guy who's this big, can run that fast, and can't go to the Dick's Sporting Goods and find gloves that fit him, draft him. Draft this man. I'm telling you. Does he need to get better at certain routes? Of course. There's a lot of little things receivers need to get better at. But I'm telling you, this guy, and especially with a guy like Aaron Rodgers who does one of the best deep balls in the game, one of the best back shoulder
fade to
fades
Treylon
in
Burks
the
is a
game.
problem.
It's caught.
Yeah.
It's caught.
So tell me about Drake London. What are your reservations?
I just don't. I mean, I think he's a good receiver, but I feel like he's a little more hyped up than as good as the other receivers.
Jameson Williams is the best wide receiver in this draft. I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
And because
I don't know if
so
that.
many-
I don't know.
You
if
don't
that's-
think J-Mo's the best wide receiver
I
in this
think
draft?
I don't think you can really say he's better than Garrett Wilson.
How?
Or a lot because J-Mo's a speed guy. So
He's
J-Mo is.
more than that. He's physical
I mean,
with the ball. He's
I
went
wouldn't
after
say
the
he's
catch guy.
super physical with the ball.
Does him coming off an injury give you any reservations?
Not in 2022. Not in 2022.
Doctors are too good.
The thing I like about Jameson Williams is he can kill you in multiple ways. It's one thing to have a guy that can high point the ball and win the 50-50 ball, which I think Jameson Williams can. It's another when you have a guy that at any point in time can run past any player that you have. Jameson Williams, from a defensive perspective, I would rather have to defend a Treylon Burks than a Jameson Williams because at least I know I can keep Treylon in front of me somewhat. And for him to catch a ball vertically down the field, he runs really well for a big guy, but it's two totally different situations. If I'm at corner or if I'm at safety, if they move J-Mo to the slot, having to cover those two guys because I have to stay on top of Jameson Williams. I can catch up to Treylon if I take a chance, if I bite a little bit on something, maybe it's a little bit of a double move or whatever. I can retreat and catch up and have a chance against Treylon Burks. If Jameson Williams gets by you, you might as well stop, look at your wife in the crowd, wave at her, tell you love her because you just got murdered online.
It's the same thing with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's flying.
But Jameson Williams is bigger than Garrett Wilson.
True,
Garrett
but
Wilson's
I think
5'11".
Garrett Wilson's a better full package route runner than Jameson.
Oh, okay. If we're going to talk about route runners, I mean,
Well, we're
I'll
talking
take
about
Chris
complete
Olave.
receivers.
Chris Olave is the best route runner in the draft. I don't know if that's even close. But
Still
over,
a 4-3 guy.
overall, Jameson Williams, to me, scares me the most. And that's who I'm always going to pick. The guy that absolutely scares me the most.
That's why I feel like the Packers are in a good position at 22 because look at all the wideouts we're talking about right now. The over-under on wideouts to go in the first round is 6.5, right? And all of them can play. I think all of them can be valuable assets right off the bat here for teams. That's why I don't think the Packers necessarily need to go up to get the best receiver.
I don't think they do either.
Rather than the fourth best receiver in this draft. And we're not even talking about Jahan Dotson. I mean, he could go first round.
Jahan Dotson, I say Jahan Dotson, Matt Corral, there's a few other guys I can put on this list, are the most underrated players in this draft.
You think so?
Who is the Booster Club? Who is the most underrated player in this draft? Tell me and we'll read it. But do you want to get to best player in the trenches?
Best player in the trenches. Yeah, a lot to choose from. And this is both sides of the ball?
This is both sides of the ball.
Okay.
It can be interior and it can be exterior. Mine's going to surprise you. You want to go first?
No, you go first. I want you to surprise me.
I've been talking about edge players, and I know edge players are the most important in my opinion. We obviously have Aiden Hutchinson, Trayvon Walker, Jermaine Johnson, Thibodeau. I'm going to go to a guy that we talked about all during college football last year. Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis, look at him.
Davis.
The house.
The reason I think Jordan Davis is a guy that you can put on the list of the most dangerous in the trenches is because he, not only being so big, but being able to move laterally so well, can defeat double teams, not just off pure size, but he can control the whole interior of the defensive line or at least demand a double team 80% of the time. And just like out wide, we talk about bracketing receivers, right? I'm going to double this guy. Well, if I'm doubling this guy, we can't double everybody. You know, you can run two-man and shadow it with the two safeties running man underneath, obviously, and kind of pick your poison there. But if I know that you have to double team Jordan Davis to have a chance to be able to run ISO, to run dive, to get the power started, to be able to get the back block on power. If I know that you have to double team Jordan Davis, I know somewhere else you're skinny. And the team that gets Jordan Davis, if you have at least one end that is serviceable, or you even have a 3-tech that can give them hell, adding Jordan Davis totally opens up another player. I use the basketball analogy all the time. Well, you want to double KD, there's Kyrie. Somebody's open. Somebody's open, somebody's going to have a chance to make the play. And eventually throughout a game, if one person makes enough plays, then you have to say, well, hell, we can't double this guy the whole game. Now we got to slide off and single it, and that's when Jordan Davis eats you alive.
I like that pick. We talked about him a lot last fall.
Yeah, I don't think enough people are talking about him in the draft. I know people will look at his numbers at Georgia and go, well, they weren't incredible numbers. Well, we don't say that about corners when they're locking people down and nobody throws
no one
at
throws
them.
it that way.
Nobody was running the ball straight at Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that you're not running it at me.
Yeah.
If you're going to get mad at me for not making plays at third when the ball's not hit to me, what the hell you want me to do? You want me to run in front of the shortstop? You want me to go 2 gaps down and make the play and totally open up the cutback for a touchdown?
That's funny you say that, because that's a little bit how I felt about Aiden Hutchinson in that playoff game against Georgia. You know, we always talk about you can game plan for one guy. Now, I know they had David Ajabo on the other side. It'll be interesting to see if he goes first round too. But I think that's why Aiden was a little bit more ineffective in that playoff game. A lot of people are, saying that he maybe is not the most athletic in the edge rushing game, but I'm still going to go with Aiden Hutchinson if we're talking about the trenches here. The way that he plays the game, high motor, he can stand up a lot. I watched Justin Houston play the game at a high level for a long time, up close and personal. I think he has a little bit of Justin in him.
I like that.
I kind of like that comparison. But Trayvon Walker, it looks like is going to go number 1. That's kind of the consensus number 1 right now out of Vegas. I think he's going to be great. And then Evan Neal too in the trenches. I think this is a guy who
I'm so interested in watching what happens between the Giants and the Panthers with Evan Neal and Charles Cross.
That's so funny.
2 SEC offensive tackles.
And Ikem.
Yeah, Iquanu from NC State. Yeah,
I mean, he's a Charlotte native. I think it's going to be interesting.
Just named all the guys in the.
No, go ahead. No, this still doesn't take away from who's the most.
Well, it's Charles Cross. That's what I was going to say. I mean, right now, I think Charles Cross can be a day 1 starter right now in the league.
Yeah, we have some clips of him. Let's go and roll. You can see him here at Mississippi State.
Watch his feet. What's
the thing you like the most about it? Let's run the clip.
His pass pro.
Yeah.
His pass pro is the best. He can be on the Giants right now. Look at, come on. The control. You can see his feet. He's that big. He's that balanced. His weight distribution from his heel to his toe is so nice. His bucket step is beautiful. And Daniel Jones needs a guy like this.
Yeah. Well, the thing I like about him is he can slide step. He can get in his set, but he's not a waist bender. He's powerful without having to bend his waist. Look at him move here in the pocket, work up and down, top side. Being able to move your feet and shoot your hands. He has heavy hands, but the thing I like about Cross the most is that he's not a waist bender. And that's what you're going to see out of these guys that get taken in the first, second round of the NFL draft. There's a lot of guys that are big. There's a lot of guys that are wide, but there's not a lot of guys that are big and wide and that can move like that laterally. We know he's good on the down block. We know he's good on the base block and the run, but he doesn't bend at the waist and lose all his strength. Power comes from the ground up, regardless of what sport you're playing, whether you're shooting a jump shot off a three-pointer, whether you're an offensive lineman, pass setting, you're a running back, sitting down against pressure in pass pro to be able to do it. Baseball, batting, power comes from the ground up. Pitching comes from the ground up. So I like Charles Cross because he's not a waist bender.
Would you guys take Charles Cross before Evan Neal?
I'd take Evan Neal, but I'd take Evan Neal.
Yes.
You would, Blaine?
Yeah, I trust the Bama. I trust the Bama. When it's that close to me, I'm going to go with the guy that went through Bama's program.
No, I'm just going to use my eyes. Realist. I think Charles Cross is better in the pass setting game.
They're both in the top 10, though, right?
For sure. They'll get picked probably right after each other.
Yeah, and we're going to give our mock top 10 right after the break. Yeah. You want to do one before the break real quick? Get them a little sauced up?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Let's throw mine up there. Let's throw my mock top 10 up here. Let's see it, and then we're going to get to the Boost Club after the break. Here's what I got. Trayvon Walker going number 1 in the Jags. It's starting to look more and more like that, which by default means Aiden Hutchinson's going to go 2 to the Lions. Here's where it gets a little bit emotional for me. Give me Derek Stingley Jr. going 3 to the Texans. I heard they're in love with Derek Stingley Jr.
You did?
I heard they absolutely love him. I think they're going to take him. Give me Iquanu from NC State going to the Jets at 4. Cross going to the Giants at 5. While I disagree and think Neal's better than Cross, obviously I'm going with the Giants thinking Cross is better than Neal. That would be Evan Neal going 6 to the Panthers. I think Sauce Gardner goes 7 to the Gigantes, the Giants, so they get the 5th and the 7th. Give me Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to be the first receiver off the board. I don't think he's the best receiver going to the Falcons. I know they need help at a lot of places, but they rank in the bottom of the league from a depth chart standpoint at wide receiver. Then Thibodeau from Oregon going to the Seahawks. I think that's a good fit for him. And then Drake London Bridges falling down, going to the Jets. A lot of wide receivers and edge players there, but that's where I'm going. That's my top 10. Instant reaction. What do you guys think?
I like it. I mean, let's really be honest about this, guys. Probably no one really knows.
No,
especially with
I'm not
this draft.
saying no.
No one really knows. But I think the only thing I don't think is London at 10.
You don't think London at 10?
Interesting, because I have London at 10, but I'm going to get into why I think Stingley will be a little further down.
I have him further down
on a little
too.
Diatribe about Thibodeau here in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
wait,
diatribe.
Maybe a get off my lawn.
No, we're not going to go that.
We're not going to go.
He hasn't earned that yet.
By the way, did you see where I tagged you in the tweet with Dick Vitale complaining about NIL?
Oh, yeah. I said, when do we
to
start?
Get off my lawn? Yeah.
When do we start?
Yeah. Look,
I mean,
think it'd be a great one for you.
I'll do it today.
It's a fastball. But no, Iquanu's the one for me. And again, I like his tape. Just SEC offensive tackles, man. I feel like they're a different breed. I would take Cross or Neal before I take Ekwonu, but I think the Jets are going to go there at 4 with Ekwonu.
I agree with that.
You know, that's my mock top 10. Will it happen? If it does happen, hell, throw a party. We're going to be, by the way, doing an all access tonight. First round of the draft. Okay, going to start on Instagram. Going to be on thedailywire.com. So if you want to watch that, or you want to watch or listen to the rest of the show, head over to thedailywire.com and become a member. And listen on Apple, not through an Apple, but on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Make sure you're following us on all social media, including TikTok, and share it with all your friends and the people you trust the most and also don't trust. We'll be right back with Blaine and Cohn's Mock Top 10.